What's going on YouTube? Omar aka Theibault back with you again. So today I am out with my Hornet. I love this buggy. For those of you who don't know my RC story, well, my RC story starts with this little buggy that we're looking at right here. 1985 August. It's my 12th birthday and my dad took me to our local hobby store. That's called the Hobby House. I'll never forget that place. I mean, it was one of those places that I learned actually a lot of things and got into the hobby that I love the most because of there, but also because of the owner. It was, as was typical in the 80s, a mom and pop hobby shop. It was owned by this guy named Dave. Dave was an old retired Navy man. Holy cow, there's a lot of stuff for me to hit out here. Man of few words, old school business owner, almost as if, you know, if you asked him a question that you were bothering him. But he actually did have a heart of gold and he cared a lot. Anyways, I just wanted to talk to Dave about Dave for just a minute, only because I'd recently learned that he passed away from a heart attack. And you know, over the years, as I got more and more into RC before I went off to college, I spent quite a lot of time at the Hobby House and chatting with Dave. A very interesting man. But getting back to my story about the Hornet and how it started me on this lifelong passion of RC. So it's my 12th birthday and I remember going to the Hobby House with my dad. And this was one of those places, when you walked right in, he had one of the old 1/16 scale Tamiya Flak Panzer Gepards in the window. And I was always fascinated by that, but at that age I could not afford, you know, such an expensive item, nor the bruiser that he had on display inside. But anyways, 12th birthday, I'm there, and thought I was just going in for a model kit. At that time I really enjoyed building model kits, and I think model kits are a little bit of a gateway hobby drug for some of us before we get into RC. But when we walked in there, he had a center display shelf, one of those glass cabinets, and he would show off a lot of things. Inside the cabinet, it had a lot of model kits and things like that. But on top of it were two boxes, one for the Tamiya Grasshopper and then the other one for the Hornet. And I don't know what it was about the Hornet, and I'll say this and I'll say it until the day I die, the Hornet is a much more beautiful buggy than what the Grasshopper is. As much as I love the Grasshopper, the Hornet is just a lot more striking of a design versus what the Grasshopper is. But anyways, there's those two kits and they are just chilling. And I pick up this box and I'm in love. I'm looking at the box art and the sides, and you know, it's that classic Tamiya magic when you get that first Tamiya kit. So I asked my dad, you know, would it be okay to buy this? And at that point he's like, yes, you did really well in school and you know, you're a good kid, which I was, and so I will do this for you. And so we bring it up to the counter, and of course Dave, this really being my first interaction with him, first thing he says is, that's too advanced for that kid, he's too young to build that. And of course that got my goat. I was upset. I'm like, you don't know me, you don't know what I'm capable of course I can. And that just made my resolve all the more that I needed to get this RC car. Anyways, after realizing that I wasn't going to back down from this purchase, he then took on a kinder tone and said, hey, look, you also need to get a radio, you need a charger, you need a battery. Now these are not expenses that, you know, most kids back in 1985 for a birthday present would get all of this stuff. I must have really been a good kid, and I love my father very much. He's a very good man. But my dad, he was kind enough to say, that's okay, we'll go ahead and do this. And of course Dave gives my dad his number and goes, all right, when the kid has any problems with this car, you just give me a call and you know, we'll get it all sorted out. So got the Tamiya Hornet for my birthday. I had a Futaba Attack radio to go with it. I had a 7.2 volt Tamiya battery pack and an old kind of trickle charger. So I get home and I spend the next 2 days building this lovely kit. A whole third day for painting the body and doing the stickers. And I was so excited. This is my first RC car, and I'm looking at this thing, and all I'm thinking is, wow, this is just the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, how awesome is this? We're stuck. Let me get unstuck and I'll continue the story. How awesome is it that I have this really awesome RC car here? This is gonna be amazing. So finally, body's done, the kit is done. You know, the 4 hours or whatever has gone by to charge the battery. And I'm outside and I'm ready to run my car. So excited. And turn on the car. Rookie mistake. Hadn't turned on the radio. This is in the days of the old mechanical speed controllers. And the car is on wide open. I just managed to catch it with my foot and hold it there so I could grab it. And in that 2 to 3 seconds that it took from when I plugged it in to when, or turned it on and the car shot forward and I caught it with my foot, all that power being dumped in, you have to keep in mind back then these little guys had the resistors on them, and boom, puff of smoke, magic smoke comes out, car's not doing anything. Didn't take a genius as to what had happened, so I take a look. I know it's a resistor. I mean, it's burnt. If you ever had any of the old school stuff with the resistors and you burned one of those out, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the smell, you know that awful putrid browned out look of that white resistor and what's happening with it. And anyways, Dad drives me over. This was a Saturday. Dad drives me over to the hobby shop so that we can get another one. And you know, I have my car with me, and Dave looks it over and begrudgingly gives me the old, "You did well, young man, you know, you got the car built." And I explained to him what happened, and he said, rule number 1 of RC, always turn your radio on. It's actually the first lesson I ever learned in RC, is that you turn your radio on first before you do anything. And I have never ever forgotten that lesson. But anyways, the sad part of it is here I am, 12-year-old impatient kid, haven't even run my car with the radio. I mean, it went about a foot before I caught it with my foot and blew out that resistor. But Dave gives me the unfortunate news that he's out of them, and that his next shipment is going to be arriving in 2 weeks with those. So if you can imagine what those 2 weeks were like, they were the most miserable, longest 2 weeks of my life. Being a 12-year-old kid, having that 12-year-old kid's concept of how long everything is, time, you name it, it was just ridiculous that I had to wait that long. But finally, resistor came, and my 30-plus year love affair with this fantastic hobby, and specifically Tamiya, and more specifically this little lovely Hornet, that is the story of how I got into RC, and why, to me, this is the best little RC car in the world. And I absolutely love it. This is my 3rd runner Hornet that I've owned. I've had my original. I had a previous re-release that I actually ended up trading years ago, which, by the way, I don't trade things anymore. I'm more of an RC hoarder these days. And then this re-release, and then I happen to have 2 special editions. I still have a Jun Watanabe, the lovely pink, white, and purple one, if you've ever seen it. Brand new in box. I will get that built one of these days. And then I also happen to have just another Hornet, but with the metallic special body. It's like a black silver. It's really cool looking. Again, because I have this one and it runs just fine, I haven't bothered building the other one. But that is my love for this little buggy, and the joy over the course of my years of life that this hobby has brought me, and it's all because of this fantastic little buggy. And I just realized during this whole story, I'm just doing ovals, but this goes to show you, just watching this thing bouncing around, ooh, in this sand and dirt, I mean, really, that's all you need. I'm actually gonna start moving because I see that the sun is going down and it is golden hour and it is just beautiful out here. So let's just get out here where we can see a little bit more of the bouncy from Mr. Hornet and enjoy a little bit more of this amazing light that we have. Oh, look at that bounce. It's got to be one of my favorite things. I mean, you can complain about the suspension on this or lack thereof all you want, but from a pure fun and joy standpoint, I don't think anything compares. Doesn't have to be fast. I mean, this is just running a 540, nothing special about it, but oh, I could be out here for hours running this little buggy, just having a good time playing around with it. It always takes me back. You know, some things in life can trigger some very fond memories, and this vehicle just triggers all of them for me. Ooh, let's not run straight into that. I'm seeing if I can do some jumps with it right now. Trying not to drive it too far away so that you guys can see. Oh! I gotta be careful. This all this time that I've been running this buggy, this is the original body and it's in fantastic shape. I don't want to scrape it up too much on all the rocks and the dirt out here. And like yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, it is still freezing. I left my gloves at home. That's one of the things yesterday that really made my day a little bit easier, is the fact that I had gloves when I was out with Todd, and I left my gloves at home, so I don't even have those with me. But it's okay. I'm having a blast playing with my little Hornet. Having flashbacks and memories of my being 12 years old. I remember in my neighborhood we had a solid crew of guys that had RC cars. My buddy Felix had a Frog. I had this guy. I had a buddy Mark who had a Grasshopper. One of my friends David had a Hot Shot. We used to go out and have a lot of fun. Oh, Eddie had a Fox. He was the fastest. We all bowed down to him and his Fox. We thought it was just the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I love my Hornet. Had a blast with this. I remember one day Mark and I were doing drag races up and down my street, and one of the girls that lived in my neighborhood, Amanda, lovely young woman, was just riding her 10-speed bike, and I don't know what Mark was thinking, but he accidentally went under her front wheel, and poor girl went right over the handlebars, right on the pavement. She had some cuts and bruises. Mark was apologizing profusely because it was an accident. He didn't mean to. I mean, we're little teenagers. We weren't the best at driving the vehicles around, but good old times. Anyways, I'm going to continue reliving my youth over here with my Hornet. Holy cow, this light is amazing right now. I hope it's going to come through in the video for you guys, and I hope you've stuck around to this point to watch and see it. And I really hope that I'm getting the footage, that it deserves. Well, on that note, I'm going to stop recording the video.
Shooting stars never stop. Shooting stars never stop. Shooting stars never stop, even when they reach the top.